Oh no! It's morning!
And that means it's time for the Rotten Mournings
Podcast!
Best way to start your morning off. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Rotten Mournings.
Welcome.
I'm Scott.
I'm Matt.
I'm Brandy.
I'm Graham.
And I'm Santa Kong, or King Claus. You'll get the reference when you see the movie.
Rawr!
Okay.
Okay. So we've got some exciting Rotten news today.
Yeah, luckily Grim took notes because I don't remember what any of them
hold on.
Okay,
You just
Grim
rattled
just
the paper.
has. She's doing origami. She just showed the audience the notes.
No,
Like,
hey, I feel pressured. Stop.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Oh.
sorry, but they can't
No.
read it. You're still showing it to them.
Okay, we did a horror trivia live on Facebook where I gave the tally points, and I don't know what everybody else did, but I did the tally points, and it was fun.
And who won that?
Renegade was first.
Yeah. Mimic was second, and Cindy was third.
Renegade won prizes.
Yes, he did. We picked random stuff off the shelves.
I'll tell you, there was some speed Googling in that. It was
Yes, there was.
amazing. And I say that, but you know what? We have a lot of fans that are huge horror aficionados, and props to them, because a lot of those we knew the answers to, and a lot of those we were surprised by the answers of. But,
Yeah.
even being the fans that we are.
There was a few of them that I told Brandy, like, those seemed like really easy, and then she went through the list, and I was like, I don't know what the answer to that is.
This is a pretty simple list, except for
I read the answers, and I still didn't know.
The answer's right in front of me the whole fucking time.
Well, whenever Grim had to read a question, she also had to put her thumb over the answer. Otherwise, she would say the answer to the
Yeah,
question.
that's true. I get ahead of myself.
I like that you guys put the answers in thumb-sized sections.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
They did that just for me.
it's helpful.
Yes. And, of course, Matt posted a shit ton of reels on Facebook.
Mhm.
And we debuted our midweek podcast,
We
which
did.
is... Go, Matt.
Oh, Morning Friends with Rotten.
Yay! That was great.
It was good. It was a
Yeah,
good
that was
interview
good.
with Biggs.
Yes, our first being
That
Biggs.
was a really fun thing, guys. If you haven't checked that out, we're putting those out every Wednesday, and of course, Biggs has been a big supporter and everything. So to have him on the podcast and kind of talking about what he does and everything was really, really neat.
I felt like it was a great opportunity for me to get a lot of my traumas out into the world. I felt a lot better after having admitted to all those things that happened to me.
Yeah, I'm glad. It seemed like you've grown since then.
Well,
At
yeah.
least,
8 pounds?
yeah.
At least 8 pounds. You guys are the ones that did all that traumatic shit to me. So,
Yeah, but we worked it out together, so now we don't have to feel bad about it anymore.
So, Psycho Mantium 13, am I saying that right?
Yes, I
Okay,
believe so.
did a live with Raz, which
Yes.
was amazing.
Yes.
It's very cool hearing Raz talk about his books and stuff. Raz is he is a very good interviewed person. Do his first on Friday.
What the fuck are you talking
His
about?
first on
Who
Friday.
is that? You said you were a werewolf? Are
Ooh.
you a werewolf? Motherfucker!
I'm a Dracula.
We had the one episode of Rotten Inside. Yeah, Frankie sounded good. You could barely hear what I was saying.
I listened to 10 minutes of that, and I liked, kinda.
But he's really, really like it's audio quality is important for him on this one though.
What can I say? I know what my audience wants, and it's never to hear you.
So that happened.
Those are fun too. If you haven't checked those out, those are on Spotify as well. It's Rotten Inside, and that's a new podcast on the big network here.
It doesn't have the sound effects like
Yeah,
But
so
doesn't need it. That
so-
host is a sexy motherfucker.
as a plus, it doesn't have the sound effects like Matt's. But one thing that's really cool about that, if you guys are fans of the really popular format of podcasts like the Welcome to Night Vale, the host of that, Frankie, does this phenomenal job of adding in this just really surreal world, and I really like how immersive that one is. So
Yeah.
And
I plan on listening to it eventually.
Well, I did listen to it, and I got to find out that I'm apparently the next guest.
Yes, I prefer an ambush style of interviewing. And, really what I'm going for with Rotten Inside is NPR in hell. So...
Yay!
which is not
Ta-da.
different from NPR. It's
Okay, makes sense. Okay.
NPR.
Party.
There is an actor class at the Haunted Chicken House.
That's today.
Yes,
That's
it
today.
is.
It is today.
It is at 12 p.m. and it is free.
And it's open to all. So, if you want to come out there and try out to be an actor or hang out and
That is the
Don't do
Haunted
that,
Chicken
though.
House in Bethlehem, Alabama, at Hollis. And it's class orientation and scouting at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time.
yeah, this is basically
Yes.
like a casting call for them, and we're doing our acting class for the first time, so it should be interesting. And we'll be shooting a commercial later on in the day when we thin out the herd, as it were.
Yeah.
And next weekend, City of Chaos is having a meet and greet on August 6th at 6:30.
Yes, they are having a casting call, and we will be there for that.
Yes, it's going to be fun. And that's in East Boga Combat Park.
Easter Bowl.
And we released our new review of Ferris Artisan Ellis. Did I say that right? Els? Whatever.
Artisan
Ellis.
I'm trying.
It's good.
That's in Trustville, Alabama. So
Yeah.
you guys should, fucking do something about that.
Do something.
Do
Fucking-
something.
You guys should fucking
Fucking-
Do
Fucking
something.
do something, bro.
Check out Ferris Artisan Ales.
And we shot another review at Trustful Social.
You did the same thing I just did.
At Trustful Social.
Trustful Social just had their soft open, and it's located also in the Trustful Entertainment District, right next to Ferris.
Their soft open made me hard.
You fucking pervert.
Guys, we're stumbling over some words this morning. It's super early when we're recording this, so whatever.
Our mouths don't work.
You're not even listening.
Yeah. So on the first episode of, right off the bat, Marlon has released 2 different shirts. Recently, he released the Pull Noodle shirt, and he released a See No Evil, Speak No Evil, Hear No Evil, or Hear No Rotten.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
that's right.
rotten.
But
Speak the rotten ladies on it.
Speaking of that, I need somebody to design a t-shirt for me to protest this poodle war. Because I plan on coming out in full force. We only got about, a month left before.
Okay, somebody shut the mic off. Shut the mic off. That's enough. That's enough.
It's okay. I'm editing it out.
None of this is true.
Yes, it is.
25B3 poodle wars are not for me.
Hey!
Hey.
Stop it.
And he also joked about the fact that we named it that ridiculous name on the Morning Friends podcast because
Did you say
I was gonna making a joke about how hard it would be to design a shirt. So he did a shirt where it's like literally all these different names crossed out down the shirt, and then Morning Friends with Rotten is circled on the bottom.
I
So that was
love
super
that.
cool.
That was great.
I just got choked.
And the last episode
Hey, just
we did,
really quick though about Marlon. What's his deal? What's this guy's deal?
He's just awesome.
We're rotten, and the guy just comes out and is more rotten than us, or better at everything.
Yeah.
You
He's
know,
gonna
Well, that's
show
because
us
we're
up.
rotten.
Yeah,
Of course
I don't know.
he's better.
I don't know if you guys saw our puppet episode, and then all of his is better,
Yeah.
and then our shirt, and everything he does is superior to us in every single
In
way.
every
Yes.
way.
He's magic.
Every
We need to
way.
beat
I'm
the
just
crap out of
glad
him,
he's
take
not
his
making
magic.
short movies or podcasts, so he wouldn't have to fucking.
Oh.
Yet.
Don't give him the idea.
Our puppet video was just me fisting you while you were passed out drunk.
That was our puppet video, not our.
Yeah, I didn't know about
Puppet
this.
video.
What?
I don't want to know
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, same, totally. Same.
But it's awesome. And the last episode we've already recorded, it's been edited, of the next episode of Morning Friends with Rotten,
Which will
Is,
premiere on Wednesday.
is Ritalin, the guy who did our theme song for the podcast.
Ritalin.
So, and it's the first time he's an avid
Beautiful
listener, and
Randy.
we haven't ever had him interview on the show before. So we finally got him in.
Yay!
It was
Hope
fun
he's
talking
okay.
to him. Yeah.
Cool. Well, what else do we got, guys?
I didn't write down anything else.
I got a weather report if you're interested.
Oh, weather
Let's
report.
do it.
Weather report.
Starting up the chopper. It's officially called the chopper now.
Okay. Chop.
So that wasn't an accident at all. I meant to say that.
You named your copper chopper.
Copper chopper.
Chopper, chopper.
Your name is copper chopper. I'm not falling out of this
Get the
motherfucker.
fuck out
Hell
of this
no.
chopper.
And now for the weather.
Weather report. Baby, it's hot outside, but it's rotten inside. Check out the latest podcast sensation, Rotten Inside. New episodes every Friday.
That's not a weather report.
You know what?
That's a shameless plug.
I'm scared.
I am all powerful.
I'm cutting this fucking helicopter off.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
cutting this
Chopped her down.
chopped her off.
Plummeting toward the earth.
Coming this October, as night falls on a quarantined prison somewhere in Vincent, Alabama, vampires have taken over at Hellbilly Hollow, and things will never be the same.
Come visit Hellbilly Hollow in Vincent, Alabama. You'll have the best night of your life.
Yes, we'd love to have you in our neck of the woods.
The wait is driving us batty.
This year, we've raised the stakes. Join us.
Join us.
One of Alabama's top-rated haunts. This is the one for you.
Hellbilly Hollow Haunted House Attraction in Vincent, Alabama. Open at 7 p.m. every Friday and Saturday in October.
Tickets available at the door.
Exclusive merchandise, tasty concessions, live entertainment.
Well-lit bathrooms.
For more information, check us out on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and at hellbillyhollow.com. And we will see you there.
Join us.
And welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Hey, it's another part of the show. Yeah. Today we are continuing our series on the Nightmare on Elm Street movie franchise with another delectable film.
I wouldn't use that word.
I wouldn't use that word either. I'd never eat this movie.
You guys wouldn't call this a film?
It is a film.
Oh, okay. Well, then in this we agree. We are talking about A New Nightmare
Yes.
from Wes Craven.
A
Or
new.
is it officially
It's-
Wes Craven's
Yes,
New
the
Nightmare?
Yes.
title is Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and that is the only clever thing about this movie is how they actually justify calling it Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
And for this part of the podcast, I will be playing myself.
I'll be
Oh.
playing Wes Craven and Nancy.
I also will be
I'm a
playing with
fairy.
myself.
I'm still Brandy.
So I guess let's do this. Let's go around and kind of give your initial impressions of the film, and then we'll do the breakdown. Matt, you want to start with that?
My initial, this is not one of my favorites. This one's right there, right behind part 5. And I like the concept, but it's so murky and gets really, really lost in what they were going for. Very quantum existence type stuff, but just, I don't know, it was too on the nose and didn't really, it was like, we're going to go for realism. Well, fuck that out the window. Like, it's so back and forth with that shit, but yeah.
Cool. Great.
I didn't like it.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Okay.
This is. I'm going to read this that I wrote. This is my notes. This is all of my notes. I don't have anything else, and I've already stated this before, but I'll state it again. This is dreaming about a movie, about a dream in a movie, where lots of dreams within a movie happen in a movie. That's actually just real life unfolding in a script, happening as it's being written about a kid who's in a horror movie, but not allowed to watch the horror movie that he's sort of in now, but not really.
It's a
There,
great
there you
synopsis.
go.
That is a
this
great
we're done.
synopsis.
Okay. Fair. That's
I'll have to
And
take
you
your
didn't
word
like
for
it.
it. I wasn't paying attention.
Brandy.
Meta before it was a trend to be meta.
So a film before its time. Interesting
Yes.
take.
Yeah, they said that too.
All right, so about that. You cannot possibly get more meta than a film ending with the two characters, the main characters in the film, literally reading the fucking script of the film.
Yeah.
Was that
Hot take.
Was that your hot take?
No, I was just adding on to Brandy's thing because she's smarter than I am. So I thought that some of that would rub off on me, maybe make me appear insightful.
Rub harder.
Brandy, smart on it.
So what did you think, Frankie?
Impossible.
So you know how
telling me to piss on him?
Yeah, rub some pee in him.
Brandy's gonna piss on Freddy.
that
Which is
means
how they
some-
should have killed Freddy.
would have been better than what happened here. You know how people will say, like, oh man, I've seen that movie 1,000,000 times. I've seen this movie twice. And that's too many times. By far the worst nightmare film. Period. It's ridiculously bad.
You say this one's the worst?
This is the worst.
Well,
And that's saying a lot, because, oh my God, 5 and 6 were fucking terrible. This, however, it actually bumps those two movies up a notch. It's so bad.
I can't wait till Blumhouse makes Wes Craven's new Nightmare remake. It's going to be so awesome.
I mean, you guys are saying this is the worst, and we haven't even talked about the remake yet. So I'm really interested when we go there.
I don't know that I would call this the worst, but it's definitely not the best.
The story of the Blumhouse remake is going to be Wes Craven actually coming back from the dead.
Yes, it'll be like there's this ancient evil. He comes through, and there's only one block that keeps him from doing it, and it's Paramount Pictures.
So for me, this film is. I hate to say this is one of my favorites.
We hate that too.
Yeah, but I have justification in it. One, to keep the franchise going and to keep the integrity of Freddy is dead. The films are dead. They had to go in a different direction. Like a couple of you had said, maybe the execution on that wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was a thing. And so it was a film, and that's kind of where we lie in the road a lot of times, is that, hey, it could have been better, but it was a thing, and we liked it. I like the idea of you have to continue telling the story to keep the evil at bay. I love the concept of that. Mm-hmm. And I also think that the introduction of a non-Robert Englund Freddy is how you segue into a remake or someone else in the Freddy mask, which is where the validity of the remake would even come into play, because we want to keep the story going. Now, that's not to say that this film was great, not to say that anyone would say that this is their favorite film, but like the concepts introduced was, I thought, pretty innovative as far as how do you continue a franchise that you've killed off the main character.
Well, also,
I agree with that.
Also, as far as the next one we'll be doing, Freddy versus Jason, the idea for that had already been kicked around even before this one came up.
Well,
and after following Freddy's Dead, they kind of needed to wipe the slate clean in some way in order to be able to move on to Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah,
so
but
I can see that.
That being said, they didn't wipe shit clean. Like, because
No.
if she doesn't make another fucking movie, then they're just going to have the same problem on their
Also,
hands.
it's still more along the lines of, once you get through it and see all of it, rather than it being a new rendition of Freddy, it feels more like a standalone thing outside of the franchise. So
a non-canonical.
Yeah. To me, it could have gone in the direction. It had such an ability to go in the direction of the newer horror films, where it's sort of like an allegory for raising a kid as a single mom or yada, yada, yada. But it didn't hit any of those tones. It just went far away from it. And it seemed like they leaned in heavy to background concepts instead of focusing solely on the fact of being a single mother. Like, look at Babadook. Like, it could have been like the Babadook. Like, is Freddy alive or not? Like a Jaws 2. But it didn't seem like there was any kind of mystery to it. They just laid everything on the fucking table and go, here is this.
I almost, you're saying that, I almost would have liked this to be a documentary style film. And
it tried to be, but at the same time, like, if you think about the concept of this film, what is happening is that during the making of the film is being made, which, no matter how you suspend disbelief, means that Langenkamp was running around doing all this crazy shit, and there were cameramen following her the whole fucking time, and she just had to pretend like they weren't there, and it was just all of it. That doesn't make any sense. That's where
the
it
reality
breaks.
And I agree with that. But what you're saying, like the script of being written as the movie's playing, isn't that that really great John Candy film?
What John Candy film? Oh, I know what you're talking about. The soap
Delirious.
opera one. Delirious.
Yeah, this is Delirious, right?
Well, I mean, all right, so about an hour and a half into this film decides it's going to become a requel of part 3.
Yeah.
Is essentially what happens.
Yep.
Fucking her gray hair and all.
Yep. Now, since we've done our synopsis, let's lay into the numbers from Brandy. So, Brandy, go ahead and give us the boxes.
All right. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. It was released October 14th of 1994. Directed and written by Wes Craven. And still produced by New Line, but by Marianne Maddalena this time. The budget was $8 million. The box office was only $19.8 million. And it only made $6.6 million on its opening weekend, making this the poorest performing film in the Nightmare series, even though it still received positive reviews from critics.
A lot of people put that on Pulp Fiction.
It opened against Pulp Fiction, and it is believed that may have damaged its box office potential.
I think the other thing that damaged its box office potential was the movie itself.
That too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that probably.
It just like the thing about this movie, and again, I've said this about part 2 as well, that this is a great movie that Wes Craven could have done that didn't have anything to do with Freddy and could have just referenced it. Because I think like making Freddy the big bad was almost the worst thing they could have done. Because they could have made it where there's no Freddy at all, and it's a completely different beast, but it always led you to believe that it was going to be Freddy, and then they revealed it's not even Freddy. It's like this evil, and that's what they went for. But since they put the Freddy slap of paint on it, it almost robbed away from that concept.
Well, one of the differences of this film in comparison to the others, and we've said this every time talking about how rushed the production was and how much was having to be changed and rewritten as they did it, those things weren't said about this movie. However, there were still several parts of it that, even though it was written by Wes Craven ahead of time and also still directed by him, he was still changing it up as he went. He was taking ideas from real life scenarios and other stuff going on to change the script he had, including writing himself into it. He changed that up too.
It definitely feels like he's winging it a lot.
Yeah.
I think that that's a really cool idea. You were talking about it not being Freddy, because at the end of Freddy's Dead, what happens is the dream demons leave Freddy.
Yes.
His corpse is there. So now what's in the world? These dream sperms.
Yes.
And so
Dreaming.
Yeah, the dreaming.
Yeah, the dreaming. The 3 dreaming.
Makes sense.
I don't know.
Why are you doing Green Giant too?
No, it was it's kind of like Green Giant and Red Robin
Green
are very similar tunes.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is.
Green Giant.
No, dreaming.
Balls.
But having dream demons in this movie made sense. I just don't think that they had another dream demon to put. And so at this point, I think Freddy's story is over. I think Freddy's story ended with Freddy's dead. So I think the only thing left here is that they're doing a Dream Demon. However, they are making a Freddy movie in the movie.
Yeah.
So that would lead, like, what form would the Dream Demon take?
But again, if they laid into that concept and said, okay, so the Dream Demons weren't actually Dream Demons, that they were this evil that has to be captured in a story, and then they were trying to get the boy to be the next evil, that would have worked. If it was literally like kind of her son being that evil and having to separate the Dream Demons from him, that still would have worked, because it could have spun into the other movies and still had that linear, suspension of disbelief and reality on top of it. But I feel like when they replicate exactly what Freddy does with a Freddy Krueger looking guy, it removes that concept from me. Like, immediately, it's more like, oh, this is what, if you were in real life and that was happening in part one, that this is what it would be like. Not this is a different thing.
I got a question for you. So if all that needed to happen to bring Freddy back under control and trap him again was to finish the script, why did it go into production at all?
Yeah,
that's a great question.
But the thing is that you say it went into production.
It went into production like it was in production at the very beginning of the movie.
That was a dream. That wasn't real.
There
was never the only part that they show. No, the only part that they show is him in a trailer working on the glove. The only tip you have that there's anything being done, because everything else was a fucking dream.
Not when he left to go to work on the movie.
No,
and
he
then
went
on
to
his
work.
way back, he died.
He went to work on a different movie.
at the studio, but
the
he
glove.
he was just working on the glove. There's never a reference then, because they didn't want to give away to the audience, other than the fact that there was a glove there, that he was working on that movie. So technically speaking, he could have been doing any project, but just focusing on making the new glove before they went into production. So the movie itself, they never even said when they found the two other
they were still
special
trying to
effects
talk
artists
her into it.
that it had anything to do with this filming or this going on. And they were found out in a field, because of a robbing or some shit like that, or a mugging gone wrong.
I think it would be fair to say that was implied, though.
I don't think so.
And I know that you could say on a technicality that it doesn't have the evidence, but I would say that it was implied.
When she went to Bob Shea's office, he said he's working on a new glove. He never said that the guy was working on the new movie. He told her that her boyfriend was working on a new glove.
But why would he be working on the glove?
But because they still wanted to get it to be pitched. The whole point, the whole linchpin of it being filmed at all was Langenkamp. And technically it was being filmed as it was done. See, that's where it gets so fucking murky.
It breaks apart.
And that's actually what I was ultimately getting to with the question, is it's so murky.
It's so fucking murky.
It is very murky, and I definitely see your points on that. But in talking about it now, you could really look at it as like a ghost story in a way, or people dealing with past trauma where they are traumatized by working on the previous Freddy movie.
If they would have
creating
leaned
it into their
the
own
emotional
reality.
allegory of feelings,
Yes.
but they kept pulling it back away from that. Now, let me do the quick synopsis of the movie real quick. So we normally go with that.
Yeah,
before you do that, I just want to say this was one of the coolest looking Freddy's we've gotten.
I disagree with you. I disagree.
Trench coat
Okay,
Freddy
I like
has
the trench
never
coat.
been
The trench
I like
coat
the
is
trench coat.
literally
It
the
looks like
only
his
thing.
skin was just fucking peeled off, and it's just his muscle showing.
And they're like,
his
oh,
little
he's
fucking, that looks
bulging
stupid.
out
Well, it
of
doesn't
it.
even
That doesn't
really
make any
look
sense.
skilled.
He's
And
not
the
even
somebody
a
looks
synopsis
like
of the movie is...
Okay, so anyway, synopsis of the movie. You open on Heather Langenkamp. She's basically in this filming of a new Freddy movie. That turns out to be a dream. A couple of people get killed in that. She thinks it's real. Her husband tells her it's not. She starts getting these fucking weird phone calls, and there's an earthquake. Eventually, she keeps freaking out about these phone calls, the earthquakes. I think Freddy's coming back, which doesn't have any legitimate hold. And then eventually her husband passes out on the way home, has a Freddy dream, gets murdered. She goes, checks on the body. There's a giant hole in it. She starts freaking out because she believes her kid is being like cold by Freddy. Her kid's telling her there's a guy at the bottom of the bed with the big claws, and Rex keeps me safe from him. And eventually,
Yes, and don't forget the 5 slashes on the wall.
yes, and the slashes, which were like a reference to an old Scorsese
what was
film or
it wasn't
something.
Scorsese. What was it?
No, it was Disturbance or something.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's Dario Argento's Suspiria.
no,
No,
this
it
is an
wasn't
old
that
black
either.
and white, and it was like by. If I
Doesn't
don't know the
matter.
name,
Yeah,
it's
that's
irrelevant. But so this all starts happening, and again, like not a lot of people die. That most people kind of die off screen. You move forward. Her kid's like really, really bad off. She's gone to the funeral with her husband and hooked back up. And in the funeral, it's all the cast there, and hooked back up with the guy who played her dad in the first movie. And basically, like, was talking to him about the kid. Yeah. And then
She
the
hooked
kid.
up with his dad?
No, she.
I've
been talked to.
They were
Yeah.
like friends, and it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
That was her best friend.
And then her kid, like, it just kept getting worse and worse until she took him to the hospital. In the hospital, of course, they try to put her to sleep.
Weirdest
It gets,
fucking
again,
hospital
very, very
ever.
fucking murky in the hospital, too. We'll get into that. Then her kid, like, fucking bolts to go home and get his dinosaur. And she follows him. And it's weird. And it doesn't make a lot of sense because that kid is fucking just, like, nimble as fuck. They do the thing where the kid's, like, flying through the air. Anyways, we'll get to that, too. But that's confusing because that's movie rules, not reality rules. So, I don't know. He eventually makes it back. She comes home. Finds his quote-unquote breadcrumb trail, Hansel and Gretel style shit, which is just a bunch of sleeping pills. So she decides to fucking OD on sleeping pills. She just starts popping sleeping pills like they're Tic Tacs, climbs down into the bottom of his bed, and then goes into Freddy's like Russian
like a weird
bath
tunnel, sewer,
sex
and then like a Roman
arena.
bathhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
It's
he
a
was.
freaking Roman bathhouse. What the fuck?
I
Where
thought
did that
he
come
was.
from?
I thought originally she was falling into Alice's womb again.
Yeah, Brandy was
but
like,
then
is she
comes
going
out
into
Freddy's
Alice's
mouth,
womb?
so go figure.
So she fights Freddy. There's the whole reference to Hansel and Gretel. They kick him into an oven, and they're hey, Freddy's dead again. Yay, let's go swimming. And then they
And
get
read
the hell
the
out of
script.
here, and they pop out in a room, and it's like, look, I realize that there's a very good fucking chance that watching Nightmare on Elm Street movies made you really, really bad fucked up. But here's a fun little thing we can do as a family. Let's read through your fucking father's death in a fucking horrifically, like, explained out script. That'll be great for your psyche. And that's how it ends.
Yeah, did you notice that at the end he turned into a marshmallow, like a hobgoblin looking marshmallow?
What are you talking about?
Towards the end, yeah.
Who did?
Freddy.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he did look like a devil halfway through. So
Wait,
let's
wait. A devil marshmallow?
a hobgoblin
Hobgoblin
marshmallow.
marshmallow.
Not the same thing, Scott.
Okay.
So
I got
very-
really excited
She
when we
said
said
hobgoblin
marshmallow.
marshmallow. He said devil.
I thought you guys
The-
said a hob gobbling a
He
marshmallow.
That was definitely it.
It was one of those damn cock goblins.
Did you guys hear during the explosion a Freddy fart? Did you hear a fart?
What?
Did anybody else hear
What
the fart?
explosion?
In the explosion at the end of the movie.
I did
There was
not.
a Freddy fart. Yes, there was. It was
All right,
really-
guys.
I don't know exactly.
I think you
what
just
it-
blamed it on the movie.
Freddy blows up. She's like, finally. Jesus, Freddy. Ooh, like nobody's around. Nobody's. Oh my God.
Yeah, it wasn't in the theatrical
Way to go,
release.
Freddy Krueger. That was Freddy, everybody, not me.
That's
Nobody's here.
That's in the home release, and I do mean release.
All right, guys. So when we come back from this break, we'll start back at the beginning and do a breakdown. So we will see you on the other side of the commercial.
Break.
Don't go that way, man. You know who's back there? It's that serial killer from that movie.
What? Why are they here? I thought they were supposed to be chasing the kids at summer camp or invading the nightmares of the kids on that one street.
Well, they're all here. Brought in to fight off the mutant chickens, and now it's a horror free-for-all.
Oh, where do I buy tickets?
The Haunted Chicken House in Heflin is the largest tourist attraction in East Alabama.
Open every weekend in October. Tickets are $15 per attraction. 2 for $25 and 3 for $40.
Ride the hayride of horrors.
Visit the Haunted Chicken House.
Defy death in the infamous Crazy Train.
For more information, check us out on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and thehauntedchickenhouse.com. And we'll see you there.
Hey guys, and welcome back from the break.
Of my
heart. We just had a weird thing happen here in studio where one of us fell asleep and Freddy Krueger sliced through.
Freddy Krueger, it's Freddy's fault.
That we just filmed.
I believe that if I'm not mistaken, we're filming a podcast that we were worried about it going wrong, and then it went wrong, so it's like bleeding over into the real world.
So
wasn't there a 6th member of ROTN? Like
Not that I remember.
Well, yeah, like in Freddy's Dead, I can remember because I can control my dreams.
Way to go, James Earl. No.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, that guy wasn't James Earl Jones, but he was real close.
Okay, that's neat. So we're gonna just break down the
No,
whole
I get
film
it. You're
for-
the 6th member.
I'm still alive.
Who are you pointing at?
There's nobody there.
There's nobody there.
God damn
Never there.
What are we
So
doing?
yeah, guys, we're gonna talk about. You know what? I hate this movie even more now.
Now we get to talk about it
Fuck.
again.
So the movie starts off, and they're making a mechanical glove, and that's real neat. And then,
Okay, so
Robot glove.
Queso.
we open up on goddamn Heather Langenkamp in a studio reproduction where they're filming, quote unquote, possibly the new Freddy Krueger. You see the badass mechanical glove.
it's like the Terminator
Yes.
hand.
It's
Yeah.
it's a badass glove.
Yeah.
Yes.
Personally, I think if they would have went with this fucking glove, it would have been a better concept.
I think it would have been better if they just went with the Terminator.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And so the glove, you guys throw in your
I
Throwing
know
the
what
things
to say.
that are-
What
This
do
is-
we say now?
This is like one of my favorite scenes because something happens in this scene that you just don't see everywhere. The glove comes to life. It chops up like 2 members. It chases a finger, and then it's going after the kid. And there's these 2 guys just carrying this prop on set.
that cross in front of the camera.
And like it's like an action movie scene that they're carrying glass for no reason. These guys don't give a fuck that people are dying right
They
beside
don't
them.
get paid enough.
They don't get paid enough to
No,
care.
they
Yeah.
don't.
And the other thing that I like about the scene is that it goes back to the homage that we keep talking about, the love affair between Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
This is the chopped off hand of Ash Williams.
Yep.
It's just done as a claw and poorly.
Yep.
And poorly.
You know, it just occurred to me that those 2 guys that the glove kills in this scene probably black belts in some sort of martial art.
That's true. That's a very good point. Because in this particular movie, they were the only ones that could deal with a severed Freddy hand,
Yeah.
Right.
separate of the entity.
Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen Freddy's glove being the attacker.
No.
Yeah.
It's just the
And-
first time we've seen it done poorly.
And if you know karate, you're a dead motherfucker when,
Yeah,
that,
right.
when
Yes.
that glove starts
Not to
flying.
mention the fact that right off the
Come
jump,
through this bitch.
CG. They have a fucking part in this that's CG, and you just
Yeah.
right off the bat in the beginning of the movie, let's just go on and say, "Hey, we're abandoning that. We're gonna do some CG."
Can I say that, like,
Idle
this
hands.
this scene opens up and you see 3 men. And if you merge
And a
those 3 men together, you get one Paul Rudd. It's weird because they all look like weird Paul Rudd variants.
The Paul Rudd variant.
They
That
are.
was
They're
them
like,
from the multiverse.
yeah, that's it. They're just weird
So,
Paul
Loki
Rudd.
These-
Paul Rudd.
This glove,
Paul Rudd Loki.
Basically kills two of the guys on set that are SFX guys, and then cuts her husband's fingers, and she wakes up. Now, right off the jump,
It's all a dream.
they're not filming another Freddy movie. It's a dream of hers. And how the fuck do any of these deaths even happen? Because if you go back to the original movies, there's only one death in a dream unless there is a dream warrior that can pull other people into their dreams.
There's a what?
Dream warrior! And so, how the fuck did Freddy kill those two guys? Because later on it's implied that they could have died from that, even though it's not directly stated. And her husband got cut. That's just like, they all had to be asleep at the fucking same exact time, or fucking Not Nancy has a badass, like, pull people into a dream superpower.
Yeah, but to that point, what's happening here is that the Freddy that has killed these two guys in this dream is not the Freddy that we have ever seen before. This is a new nightmare.
Oh, no. Yes, it's not like a Freddy we've ever seen before because it's a goddamn Terminator hand.
Glove. It's just a glove. There's not even a Freddy yet in this movie.
Scott, there's no reason to clap here.
It's a new nightmare.
You left off part of the title.
It's Wes Craven's new nightmare.
A new nightmare?
I was going to say the same thing. So these guys...
Nightmare.
A noose nightmare. Prevented by Wes Craven.
Prevented by
yes. I stand by that statement.
I hate this fucking movie.
So she wakes up and there's an earthquake, and you get the cracks in the wall across her bedroom.
Yes, she wakes up into a hellscape where it's constant earthquakes and constant fucking telephones ringing.
And let me add, the earthquakes in the news footage were real. Fucking real.
Fucking real.
Oh, yeah. The original earthquake scenes they filmed a month before the what was the name of the earthquake?
Zoe. Christopher Robin. I don't know.
Harambe!
The North Ridge earthquake, which actually killed 57 people.
Oh, not funny. That's serious. It's not
injured
funny.
over 5,000 more.
So those people are assholes. It's fun.
So Wes Craven just sends out another film crew to go get some real
Craven's
footage.
like, we're doing something good here.
so just to be clear here,
bitch.
What we see is footage from a real killer who killed more people than Freddy did in this movie.
Yay!
In this movie, yes, because this is the lowest kill count of all the movies.
But also, you probably could add several films together and not get the kill count of that earthquake.
Right.
No, and you know what?
I don't
except
know.
for part 6.
Yeah,
except for Freddy's death.
The gap between 5 and 6.
He killed like thousands of kids.
Everybody in the town.
Yeah.
Every kid.
But it's hard.
I also want to point out that in that film sequence, that newscast, the Quake Watch had the 5 ridges.
It looked like the reading from an earthquake, but it was the
5 fingers.
Yeah, that's badass because we did not notice that.
We didn't mention the part that the movie starts off with
no credits.
That's
right.
At all.
Because Wes Craven was like, I don't want anybody seeing my name on this, and he was fucked up and named it Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
It
like,
was done
fuck!
with no opening titles in order to blur the illusion of whether it's a film, a documentary, or something else altogether.
Something else altogether.
If you buy the director's cut, there's actually the opening credits in it. That's the only difference.
For 3 hours.
3 hours. Opening credits / memorial for every single character.
Every character that has ever...
Including all the kids that died in between 5 and 6.
Which is literally like 8,000 or 9,000 kids, so buckle up. It's longer than Never Sleep Again.
What was the population of Springwood?
73,002.
And 2.
It's in there.
I don't know if I believe that.
It doesn't matter what anyone believes.
They only had the one hospital and there were no kids.
Yeah, but because those hospital people are dicks.
So we open up on the scene of them doing it. It turns out to be a dream.
There's
she
an
wakes
earthquake.
Up.
She wakes up. She
She
sees that her husband's fingers are cut, and she freaks out about it.
Fun thing here, right outside the window, it looks, and there is the pool jumping, which is an homage to an earlier death. This is the Freddy 2 homage.
Yeah.
And then there's also swinging,
Yeah.
which is the children's thing. Yeah. So this whole film is just kind of masturbation for the previous films.
Yes.
Which sucks in that we just had this beautiful homage at the end of Freddy's Dead that had all the cool shit.
Yep.
This is just like more esoteric.
Yeah.
things, you know?
Uh-huh. So, her husband goes to work, and then begins the fucking phone calls. That's the beginning of the phone call bit. And the phone rings, and she picks it up, and he's like, oh, 1, 2, and she's like, nope, not for me. And then he picks it up again, Freddy's coming for you! And she's like, and then her babysitter comes over, and she's like, what are you doing? You should chill out, bro. Have like a biscuit or something.
Oh, you're just freaking out.
That's not what she said.
I just feel like it would be
have a
like
biscuit.
more like timely if this came out and it was like, instead of 1, 2, it was like press 1 for press 2.
Press 1
By the
or
way,
2 for accepting collect call charges.
We had a baby.
It's not
Why
cool.
didn't she let it go to voicemail or something?
It's not cool.
I
You
don't
making
think they
fun
had
of the babysitter's
But she
speech
would've had an
impediment.
Answering machine
Yeah.
or something.
I love you, Nancy.
Or maybe in Hollywood, like an answering service or something.
Something.
Well, I mean, she
That's
had a
such a
fucking.
rich freaking
They had a
mansion
cell
house.
phone in this movie. I was like, what is that
A
thing?
ginormous thing that she
Yeah.
attaches to
It
the
looked
side
like
of
a
her head.
tumor.
So-
I've never seen one of those.
So guys, that's been 10 minutes on the opening sequence of a film that's 48 hours long.
Well, this gets longer every time
She
we lose
hops
this
in the
movie.
limo
3
with the
days
creep.
twice.
Yeah, and the creep's
Yes.
like, hey, this is Robert England's site, just your local creepy limo guy.
Oh, such a
Creepy,
fucking
creepy,
weird limo
creepy.
And
guy.
she gets in the
Creepy
limo, and the
McCreepy.
guy's
She's
like,
not even freaked out
hey,
by him.
you're
After
that girl
everything.
from that movie. Nah, I never forget a face. I get to meet all kinds of famous people. And he licks his Toby Jr. ass looking fucking lips. And,
Ew!
and he's like, oh, yeah. I think they never should have killed Freddy. And then she rolls the window up. And then, like, later on, he's super nice to her. I think he got the hint.
Yeah.
You guys keep making these references like you're talking about this being a hellscape of earthquakes, phone calls, and like creepy guys. Guys, this is an accurate representation of LA.
Yeah,
Like, this is exactly-
I don't go. I don't like it.
That's
Fuck
exactly
LA.
how. Like if your phone's not ringing, you're not
Earthquakes,
making
phone
money.
calls, and creepy guys.
Yeah, and that's
Right?
it.
Yeah,
that's
it.
pretty much it.
That's LA.
That's Hollywood.
Phone
That's
calls,
show
earthquakes,
business,
and
baby.
creepy guys.
Well, it's like that song by The Doors, LA Woman. You know, the lyrics to it are like, LA woman, there's a scary guy in a hat and a glove. You better move away from LA because there's earthquakes and telephone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're fucking scary.
And then Jim Morrison died.
And they buried him in New Orleans for some fucking
And
reason.
guys, that's been our coverage. Wes Craven.
All right,
I'm about
so
to
she
cry.
goes to the
She
live
goes to
action
New Line
studio audience
studio for a interview
To
Yeah.
get
Freddy.
verbally assaulted by this interviewer who is just suffocating her
Oh, and he's
with
like,
question after question
let
after
me
question.
know about your kid. What's your kid's name?
What's your kid's name? Oh, I don't feel comfortable saying that. Well, this was unprepared. Why are you so stupid, Heather? Tell me now.
It's a good thing that we don't have anybody like that working for us here in Rotten. Tune in to Rotten Inside on Google Podcasts and Spotify Friday evenings.
You son of
Flashback
a
humor.
bitch.
Hey guys, if you
It's not
wondered if there
flashback
was
humor.
a,
It never happened.
if you were wondering if there was a glitch in the podcast, we just had one part edited out. It's no big deal.
We were in the dream realm, and we were dreaming that we were recording the podcast.
All right, so then in this live studio audience interview, surprise, which
Yeah.
they wouldn't do.
Ambush interview. Surprise, Freddy's here.
Yeah, who does an ambush interview? It's like a catch a predator.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like that's Maury or
Jerry
fucking Jerry
Springer,
Springer,
like,
but like this is like just that
surprise.
New Line. This is just a New Line television show. But for the first scene you see of the audience is all like kind of like staunch faced adults. And then when Freddy comes out, all the kids get up and they're wearing
and
Freddy
he's
gear
waving
and he's
his
waving his arms in the air.
air.
And that was from, Wes Craven and Robert England had been on a talk show where they were having a conversation about the legitimacy of like wounding children's brains by them watching horror movies. And when Robert came out, the kids just went nuts, and all the parents were there like,
Freddy,
hell, what? Just sit down, boy.
Yeah, that's like one of the recurring things in here. We're talking about like the recurring theme of showing like kind of esoteric or subtle nods to the previous movies, but on the more meta level, a lot of the things that were included in this movie, like Heather Langenkamp getting phone calls repeatedly.
Yeah, having a stalker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, and this is where they did go on a talk show.
Right.
So a lot of this is mimicking, art imitating
Real
life. And
although it is
made it really easy script to write.
agreed.
Yeah, Robert Englund even said that was one of his favorites because he's like,
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. That's what it was like.
Well,
like,
also he got to play
I got hit
himself.
on by every limo driver from here until Texas.
Yeah. I'm having an earthquake right now.
One of the
Those are
things-
called tremors, Granddad, and you need to sit down. You're going to fart out of your penis again.
Oh my God. Did he just fart?
He does fart in this. He really does. At the end, the explosion. There's a Freddy fart.
It's like, oh no, bitch! That was Heather, bitch!
That was the couch. That was the couch.
Well, okay, so
This is an old furnace, bitch. The rocks quake.
the interview was straight out of an interview that Wes Craven and Robert Englund did on a real talk show. But I do find it interesting that the stalker that Heather Langenkamp had nothing to do with her character as Nancy and was about the canceling of the TV show Just the 10 of Us.
Which I was also upset about, and I called her. Look, anyway, so she moves on. She has to go have an interview at New Line.
Well, but speaking of Just the 10 of Us, there are actually, what is it, 4 different actresses from that show that were in different Freddy movies.
And they make references in Just the 10 of Us in certain episodes to the Freddy movies, back to it. So she gets done with this ambush interview, which what kind of a dick would do that? But then, like, Robert Englund signing autographs, and Heather's over here like,
I'm sorry.
And Robert Englund's doing it. The kids are still going nuts over Freddy, even though now he's no longer in his Freddy makeup and is just Robert Englund.
Yeah, and he comes out and he's like, Heather, anytime you need me to come by and just pay you a visit, or if you need anything from Robert Englund,
He asked her that. I mean, he asked her that at the funeral too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And then when she actually calls him, he's like, "I got shit to do."
Yeah, she finally cashes in on that, and he's like, yeah, sure.
Let me stare at
But
this
I'm
painting.
totally painting a garbage painting. So
I gotta finish the shitty painting of Freddy. The teeth are weird. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't understand teeth, bitch.
So she's leaving the interview. She gets a phone call and is told to head over to see Bob Shea.
Yes, and here comes Bob Shea, which apparently Wes Craven pitched to him, going like, you got a really good scene, so we should totally make this a movie. And Bob Shea was like, I'm here for it. So she goes to Bob Shea's the sexist office guy.
All that went down because of the pseudo bad blood between New Line and Wes Craven. And Bob Shea actually went to Wes Craven to try to smooth things over. And then Wes Craven came up with the script.
Yeah, this was their olive branch.
Yes.
So Shea, is pitching to her about, hey, we really need you for this movie.
And she's like, I thought Wes stopped making scary movies. Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
It stopped after the first installment of the Nightmare series.
Bob Shea got real serious for a second. But she, talks to him, and he says that your husband's working on a new glove. And she's like, what the fuck?
What?
No, hold on. He didn't tell her that he was working on a glove because he wasn't working on a glove. He was working on a burned prosthetic hand with some Hot Topic rings on
We're
it.
trying to get some really cheap Freddy merch on the shelves.
It's the new Power Glove.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah, that was the PlayStation
Now
Power
I
Glove.
And once again, works better than the actual Power Glove.
Yeah.
I just like that the wraparound here is that she was dreaming that if her husband was working on a glove, it would be good. But that was just a dream.
Just a dream.
That is actually another parallel to her real life because her
The
real
glove
life
did suck.
husband is an FXX
FFX.
artist.
SFX.
Yes.
They actually
FXSA.
co-own
An ASMR
a
artist?
company.
Asmir.
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 So of course this progresses on to where she's like turns down Bob Shea and is like, hey, nah, don't want to do it. Audi, $5,000.
fucking phone calls.
And she tells him, she's like, tell me something, Bob. Have you been getting any phone calls? And then the phone rings and you can like see the cell phone behind her back, like, God, that motherfucker. Now he's gonna now he knows what's
all right.
up.
So, Blumhouse, when you get around to remaking this installment, please, for the love of fuck, just have Freddy send threatening emails or unpleasant postcards.
Freddy's gonna send NFTs. Here is an E on a burnt piece of paper.
It's a monkey.
It would be like the TikTok videos where he's dancing with it, and then like when it gets to the end, she pulls up TikTok and it shows all the videos, and it's like, holy fucking shit, 9/10. What the fuck?
That was great.
Yeah, flashback humor. It's not as good the second time. It probably wasn't good the first time, but you know,
I did laugh the first
sporadicism.
time, though.
That's great.
It wasn't funny, but I still laughed.
So,
I just want to see like Freddy just sends like a fruit basket.
Yeah.
It's all just fried wieners.
Yeah.
Like it's,
I got your fried wieners, bitch.
Do the wiener
So,
dance.
where are we at in this movie now? Where are we at right
All right,
now?
so she's still in Bob Shea's office.
Okay, she leaves
phone
Bob
call.
Shea's office after the phone
Goes
call
home.
because no secretaries work in Bob Shea's office except for ones with big boobs that bring coffee. So
And the
apparently
10 she walked past.
they're
on the
all
way
coffee
in.
secretaries, not phone secretaries.
Yeah.
She goes back home, and when she gets there, her kid's having a fucking seizure. And the babysitter's trying to calm him, and she comes in and fucking decks the babysitter. And then she's like, you don't know how to shake my kid. I know how to shake my kid. And she's like,
Yeah.
"Ah."
Shakes the kid awake, and he's like, never sleep again.
Yeah. And then, like, in the faint background, you hear, like, Gage.
And Rex
Shaking
the
baby
dinosaur
syndrome.
has claw
It's
marks
that
in
goddamn
it
road,
now,
Lewis.
And stuffing.
I wouldn't go up there to that
And
great big simple
Dylan
tyrant.
is worried that Rex is gonna die, so she sends the babysitter off to go play.
She's
nurse
like, baby,
to
you know I
the
love
stuffed
you. I
animal.
will take care of this animal. Hey, take care of this animal.
Yeah,
I've got
bitch,
other
get
things
here,
to
go
do.
fix this.
Yeah.
I got sleeping pills to take.
Lol at this fucking sewing job on Rex the dinosaur. It was just like, here's yarn and a needle. I don't sew, but yeah, I
Well,
did
hey,
this.
Why
She
in the
was
fuck would
hired
you
to
use red
babysit,
yarn
not be a
anyways? It looks like
seamstress.
blood. You could have gone with like green or something. Why use red?
so in the behind the scenes, Robert Englund actually did the sewing, but he had the gloves on. at the
Yeah,
time.
exactly. I can't get this needle in you, bitch. So,
She reads boring kid book stuff.
then
Okay,
there's
so
a huge
she calls-
soliloquy
touching moment.
Well, she
blah, blah,
calls
blah.
her husband first before the
and
bedtime
says,
story.
head home. I need you here
It's
ASAP.
Dylan.
It was like,
Oh, the phone's breaking
Metal
down.
Gear. Dylan's in trouble. I'm on my way. And you see the shitty glove behind him in this point. And he's like, man, I got to get
Not
out
the
of
cool
here.
glove,
I hope
the
nothing
shitty
happens
glove.
to that glove. He turns his back and the glove's like, outie, pew. So like all that hard work gone
I'm
down
following
the
you
drain.
home.
I'm watching where your crotch is going.
Still confused about why the glove having a physical existence and moving from point A to point B when it didn't like. It would have been great if the glove came running up and then jumped onto the new Freddy because that would make it have to have had a reason to follow him
There
home
was
in the first place.
probably a karate class down the street.
Yeah. Oh shit, karate people. Kung fu this bitch.
It was this quick little pit stop.
Good one. Okay.
No, I was going to say like a thing about this glove, but it's not true of this movie. It's the next movie that it's true of.
So-
Oh, yeah.
So she's doing the bedtime story, like you mentioned, the Hansel and Gretel, and
Oh,
Oh,
leaving
this
the
is-
breadcrumb
this is
trails.
really dark. I don't want to do this. And the kid starts reciting it from memory, and then once
She
it
starts
gets
beating
to the
it out of his
happy
memory.
ending, she doesn't want to read that part.
She's like, oh my
But-
god, this is so dark. They're like almost dead. All right, end of story. And the kid's like, you fucking goofy ass bitch, read me the good part. And then she's like, la la la, they were happily ever after.
Yeah.
And then the little kid's like, but they weren't happy ever after all. And it's like, what the fuck? You wanted me to read you the happy ending there? You know what? Just go to bed, you stupid narcoleptic.
And she's like,
shit.
I wonder what my husband's doing right now with his giant penis.
Yeah. So it
Stunt comes along.
shows the husband driving home, trying to stay awake. He's basically just rubbing his crotch and singing "That's Me" in the corner to stay awake.
Rubbing the stunt crotch.
Yeah, stunt crotch.
One of the most relatable parts of this movie.
Yeah, that was literally a stuntman stand-in for the crotch scratch, which is a funny little.
Which is weird because it was another stuntman's hand.
Yeah. That was just Bob Shea and Wes Craven. He was like, gotta pick up that shot, Shea.
You do not know how to touch the balls. Let me touch the balls.
You don't have enough vigor in it. You're not selling the ball. This whole movie fringes on this scene.
The cameraman's like, guys, I gotta be. This is super awkward.
So even though
yeah, because Craven had one hand on his crotch too. To make this a little less awkward, everybody link up.
Everybody's got a stunt crotch.
That the human skinipede going on.
So even though they built this rig with the hand and the truck seat and all that, instead they show us a CG.
I thought it was weird that they made a robot hand just to scratch the nuts.
I mean,
they were like, they built this whole fucking rig, had the fucking glove underneath, actually use it.
Filmed it.
But then they go like, you know what, man? We could totally put CG here. And they're like, MTV does this like fucking thing on Liquid TV where it looks like, you know, like a portal. And then it's like, okay, cool, fucking let the ghosts swim their way up in the fucking goddamn seat
shows, like,
and tickle his testicles.
Well, even beforehand, you see the claws.
It actually happened.
You see the claws. You see the claws come up through the seat and tear up the seat, and then you see the seat is fine again, and then you have CG hand come out.
Yeah, well, that was a robot seat.
Yeah,
you're an idiot.
Ripley.
So he scratches his nuts, and
when I watch,
he tries to sing "That's Me in the Corner," which everybody knows. REM sucks dick, so of course you're gonna fall asleep singing their music.
Like if I watched that, I was just like, really, like he scratched his nuts. Okay, I guess he's by himself, but if he really wanted to get realistic about it, he'd have been totally ripping ass.
Yeah, he would have been farting. He would have been hands down the front of his pants. I mean, come on, dude. You don't scratch your balls like you're in public when no one's around.
I'm just going to make it look like I'm adjusting my belt.
Yeah. Well, there was the cameraman there.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Again, we harken back to the fact that the whole movie was being filmed while the movie was not being filmed.
Let's be honest here. Frankie had to have been the cameraman because it was all aimed at his crotch.
It was. It was definitely a Frankie shot.
And if he had farted, he could have just blamed it on Freddie like Grandma.
Happened. Okay, next. I'm done with this.
So the claw claws him open. He smashes into a wall, and he is dead.
He's dead?
And let's go to a break.
And she does that thing that Alice does, where she like kind of has that thing where she feels them dying, but it's like so lightly in it that it's not really there.
Well, it couldn't possibly have been that quick either because she jerks awake
to find her kid staring at her.
And then the police are at her door.
Yeah. Again, the police. Oh, that's right. There was one time when there were cops because the cops came to her door to tell her husband was dead.
Yeah.
But those fucking cops, dude, he ran into a wall, right, in the middle of nowhere, and the cops are able to get to her house and report that he's dead. But her kid runs away from the hospital, and the cops are like, well, get there, ma'am. I know a kid's important, but, you know, when we get around to it.
In an unaired segment of this podcast, we talked about the lack of police that were in this film.
Oh, that's right. We didn't do that in that one. Hey, good, I don't look like a liar. You don't have to say that.
In this segment, we have revealed that there were police. They were just too fast for us to see them.
So that's up to the first death And when we come back from break, we will discuss the next 4 hours of this film. But this time it won't be a second time. It'll only be the first time.
Guys, there is an option to play this podcast at 2x speed, and we encourage you to do
Yes,
so.
we do, because we are way more entertaining and fast forward.
Or not at all.
Or not at all. Mute is a good way to keep us like this.
We'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, Processed Meat Feet Farts.
Processed meat farts are the best processed meat farts that you can get across the Dixon line.
So meaty and farty, too.
So check out processed meat farts today.
It's a gas.
Yeah, come get you some of this.
Welcome back to this never-ending podcast.
This podcast will be playing until next year. Enjoy this whole rest of the season.
You thought episode 100 was long? Wait till you see the length on this bad boy.
Yeah,
Freddie,
yourself in.
Freddie ran out of ideas, and now he's just letting people die of old age.
Yeah.
We have
osteoporosis, bitch.
Never-ending nightmare.
We are skipping scenes.
You can go to hell with that.
300 and right to the farting Freddy.
That was not a good scene.
Okay, so we pick up with our antagonist, protagonist, going to the morgue to identify the body of her husband. First of all, no morgue functions like this.
No.
And like the
they
dude
had fucking bodies out in the hallway.
Yeah, the dude who's like working the morgue's like, so you had a bad day, huh? Wow, that sucks. Come look at your dead husband, huh? That's weird for you? Sorry, man. We don't normally let people do that.
And yeah,
but
I'm
I
just
did
gonna let
anyways.
you move this sheet to see the claw marks.
She's
on
like,
his chest.
she goes over and he shows her head off, and she's like, I can't really tell if that's him. Could you pull it back a little bit more? And he shows off
I'm looking for that
the
stunt
claw
crotch.
marks on his chest, and she's like, I still can't really tell if it's him. And then she like pulls back and looks at his junk, and she's like, what is that? Because she saw the stunt cock the part in the movie prior and was like, that ain't his crotch.
And
That's
then
why they had him all the way
Is that
back
why
with
she did?
everybody.
Is that why she wouldn't sign off?
Yeah. She's like, that's not my husband.
And then
That's
she
the
throws
stunt boss.
up by spitting up a combination of clam chowder and bean soup.
Yes. The worst, and I can comment on this. I know the flashback humor. But I hate when people throw up in movies that look so fake. This was not good throwing up. It was kind of like she was pressure washing the floor of the hospital.
Yeah, if you see vomiting like this, you're at a Guar concert.
Yeah, 100%. So, she kind of sits down and the guy's hand is out of the paper or out of the fucking sheet, and he's like, oh, fuck, I didn't even notice his hand was out. That's wild. And tucks it back in, and he's like, all right, lady, all you gotta do is sign these papers. I mean, you're probably cool now, right? Yeah, you're cool, okay.
Like 5 times.
Then
How did she not know?
Yeah.
Sign.
He turns around, and she's just casually walking away, and he's like, let her go.
And then it cuts to the funeral, and the headstone says John Doe.
We don't need to know his name. He was alive.
Nobody ever verified it. By the way, hilarious thing happens here. Unintentionally, she fucking goes to sleep at the funeral.
Yeah.
That's why this series of events happens.
Yeah,
I
because
still
she
think-
fucking gets bored and passes out.
Exactly.
Well, I thought it was because there was another earthquake and she fell and hit her head.
Nope,
No, that's not what happened.
not what happened. She got bored and passed out at her own husband's funeral.
Which is weird because I also passed out at this part.
Yeah, I passed out at a lot of parts of this
Well,
movie, and I was like,
there
Freddie,
were-
please kill me.
Yeah, I was
There
trying.
were multiple cameos from previous cast and crew members at this funeral, and there's definitely a shot where you can clearly see Tuesday Night and the guy who played Rod in part 1. I can't remember his name, and apparently didn't write it down.
It's probably Rod.
So, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, we're
I
trying
didn't want to
to.
steal your material.
Yeah, it's your material.
The one thing that was missing was all the past victims from the Nightmare on Elm Street films, because we already established that they're all buried in one spot.
Just so they can, keep them all together. Like, this
But
guy
this
get ran
isn't
over by a
in
garbage truck in this
Springwood.
area. And
This is in LA.
But none of it makes sense anyway. It is nice seeing Tuesday Night there. If you don't know who that is, check her out in Amityville Bigfoot.
Hey, we're going to do a podcast on all the Amityville movies because there's like 50,000 of them.
Yeah, so if there's anything truthful in this podcast, that ain't it.
That ain't it.
That's not it. That is not it.
That would be our retirement plan. Like,
we'll be pounding these away for the end of time.
One day, when the casket falls, the husband rises up with bloody eyes and says, "Stay with me."
Oh,
Yeah.
Fucking leave.
Well, the thing about this scene is, again, that homage to, I feel like it's a replication of a scene in a fake movie, and they're like, well, this is what it would be like in real life, and that happens throughout this movie, and I feel like this is a sort of a retelling of the Part 4 funeral for her brother.
Right.
And in that one, they're like, oh, what would happen? What if this happened? It's kind of a Quentin Tarantino way of directing.
Right.
Because Tarantino took some things from other movies and was like, well, this is good, but what if this happened?
Yeah, and then a vast difference is when Tarantino did it, he does it pretty well.
Yeah, yes, true story, true story. So she climbs down into the fucking goddamn coffin hole, and it's
old coffin hole.
I actually
Son's
would
being
love a
dragged
tunnel
through
that
it.
was just like that with the coffin velour that you had to crawl through like that. That'd be so
That would be
badass.
fun.
And this is, I just thought of this, just like the tunnel later in the movie in the bed. Like,
Yes.
what is the deal with the tunnels?
Yeah, they're all
And
on
they're
it,
all
even though they
more
don't have to be in
wounds.
this one.
They're all another reference to Alice's womb.
Yes,
apparently.
everybody literally.
or a vast difference.
Yes.
Like, just like Scott just said. That's what it sounded like you said.
So the funeral ends, and at the funeral, she meets back up with the guy who played her dad in the first one, and they kind of exchange some. Yeah, John, the guy who played her dad, and
They're
kind
at
of
a playground, and she's really
well,
worried
they
about her
rekindle
son.
that there at the funeral, and then later on they're at the playground, and now she's sitting there talking about how fucking terribly worried, how just distraughtly worried she is for her kid.
That she's
Meanwhile, not paying
paying
any
attention
attention to her child
The
at
whole time.
fucking all. She even does the sleazeball, she reaches out and touches his hand all nice and shit. It's a really weird mixed signal scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos like this on Pornhub.
So the kid climbs up into this fucking metal rocket, which is, let's be honest, not safe at all.
That thing is like fucking 5 stories tall.
Hey, fun fact that I just fucking realized, sorry for the spoiler. Stranger Things, the rocket, it's there. The black girl is hiding out in the rocket on the playground. It is from this movie. It's another reference to Nightmare because the playground is in the new season of Stranger Things.
I thought the
fixed
playground
how
was
unsafe
given
it
to the
was?
kids.
It
Well,
was, but
yeah.
it was the exact same rocket thing. She
Yeah,
climbs up in
she
it
climbs
at the end.
inside it, but she doesn't climb up on top of it.
No,
like
she's
he
just
does
inside
of
in
the
caging of
She's
it.
inside.
No,
Um,
but the kid's like, God wouldn't take me.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to see his dad.
And this is where we paused it and said, this is fucking halfway. We're only half fucking way. Oh my God.
But as far as this podcast goes, yay, we finally made it halfway.
Yeah.
For real this time.
For real this time.
And then some other stuff happened, and the end.
She gets different burn-up letters next that I never could understand why.
Yeah, she
It's more stalkers.
every single one of the
dreams
dreams that she goes into, she hears another part of the poem. So in the first dream, it's 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Next dream is 3, 4, Freddy's, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab a crucifix. It goes through the whole song until the very end, and the letters spell out "never sleep again," which is the last part.
Is one of the grossest scenes in the movie to me, and not in the way that it should be. So, all right, she gets another fucking phone call because of course she does, and the Freddy
Just
voice
like
on the
that. Oh,
other
okay.
end says, "I touched him." and then the tongue comes out of the phone and licks her. That is so fucking gross.
How likely is it, do you think? Because I know in the first movie, Heather Langenkamp kept the phone prop. How likely do you think it is that that's the exact same phone prop and she just brought it back to set to use again?
0.
I can't get far enough past the fact that he just said that he touched her child and then licked her.
Yeah,
to
again,
even get into like whether or not that prop was reused.
One of those leaning into the idea that Freddy is a child molester, even though in this particular iteration,
it's not supposed to be Freddy.
It's not even Freddy. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with Freddy. It's supposedly not Freddy at all. So, yeah, and she drops the phone, and he's freaking out and dancing around, whatever. And eventually, if I'm skimming over too much stuff...
The painting... Robert does a painting.
Yeah, she calls up Robert to get some help because Robert has this whole time, twice now, said, if you need anything, give me a call.
Because he said
it
both.
I'm here for whatever
with his
you
wife.
need. Anything.
And then
anytime.
When she calls him up and is like, hey, I want to take you up on your offer. You want to help me. He's like, nah, I got better things to do. Fuck you.
I'm very sorry, but fuck you, bitch. I'm working on a Freddy painting.
Yeah, a very shitty Freddy painting. The teeth look so fucked up.
So here's another thing that is weird. You won't see Robert Englund in the second half of the movie.
What was the deal with that? I actually noted that as well.
So
where did he go?
It was supposed to be, in the original script, it was supposed to be explained in a dream sequence where he is dreaming and a red and green spider comes in and wraps him up in a cocoon in an homage to the Fly, but they never actually filmed that part. What they did film and then cut was Heather receiving a phone call from his wife telling her that they were leaving town because Robert was freaked out because of the nightmares that he was having.
All we got was the answering machine message saying that we're going to be gone for like forever. So enjoy the rest of the film.
Yeah. So
we never see or hear from him again.
He just vanishes. And apparently when it was first released, there were a lot of people that watched it and thought it was supposed to be like maybe Robert Englund was killed by Freddy and he's just gone.
Yeah, they kind of left that one on the...
Something I loved about the painting itself is that it's painted by a woman named Linda Newman. She's a scenic artist, and her painting skills were all self-taught. She never went to school or anything like that. And her other works for other films she's done is Fight Club, Austin Powers, The Crow City of Angels, Skeleton Key, Water for Elephants, and lots more. But yes, I thought it was very cool.
Well, that's
she was
interesting.
also
That is
taught.
cool.
Oh, wow. She had no training? You're shitting.
You don't have to have training to get somewhere. You can train yourself.
No, she needs training.
Her other stuff is way better, I swear.
So is it here where she goes to visit Wes Craven in his mansion?
She's like, I got to go to Wes. I got to find out what's going on. She goes to Wes, and this is, me personally, I feel like this was the biggest loss in how the script could have gone. That Wes had originally written himself as a fucking madman on the run from Freddy in a van with Michael Berryman
from The Hills Have Eyes,
driving him around, and he has cut his eyelids out, and he's just writing the script to
keep Freddy from killing him, so he doesn't dream.
And they scrapped the whole thing.
Well, cutting the eyelids was already done in part 2.
Yeah, but that would have been a good homage because they would have been like the reality mixed with the suspension of disbelief. Again, that ability to ride that fine line was lost.
But instead, he chose to put himself in another Hollywood mansion.
Yep, and she shows up, and he's all, like, dismissive, but also, like, kind of manic and crazy as fuck. And then he's like, yeah, I'm really sorry, Heather, but I must continue making this film. Get the hell out of here.
Okay, so, again, back to this. If all it took was to finish the script to trap Freddy again, why didn't he just pull out a single piece of paper and said, Freddy's fucking dead?
The end.
Wait. I forgot. She doesn't go to visit Wes Craven until after she puts her son in the hospital.
Oh, that's right. Son goes to the hospital.
And it's a good thing they're not in Springwood because she wouldn't have been able to carry him.
Not to mention the fact that everybody in the hospital was just like, yeah, we'll take care of your kid. Get the fuck out of here. Like, again, not like hospitals.
No. Well, also, okay, so But my son is having seizures when he has no history of this. Something is obviously wrong with him. I'm not just leaving him here. I'm staying with him. I'm figuring
Not
this
to mention
out.
the fact that the fucking nurse was more like pinpointed on the idea of her films than the fact that his dad just fucking died.
Yes.
Like, it's like, is there any kind of trauma in your boy's
All she
Has
does
he been allowed
And
to
he's like-
watch your movies?
She's like, well, yeah, his dad just died. And she's like,
Oh.
well, that's not on my check box. Did he watch any horror movies? And
Did he
she's
watch
like,
your
I
movies?
don't know what you're talking about.
She just
what
checks
are horror
his math.
movies?
Yeah, what genre is that?
Para.
And then when she
Terrible.
comes back, he's in an oxygen tent.
Why?
An oxygen tent is for breathing issues, for respiratory problems. It is not for seizures. And since when did seizures become an early warning sign of schizophrenia?
Yeah.
Like, what is that all
Your
about?
boy's having seizures. I believe he may be schizophrenic. This was back in '94. They were still catching up to the emotional idea.
They
of
had just started letting children into hospitals.
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't any children in hospitals in the other film. That's
Yeah.
crazy talk.
Right.
Yeah, so now they are letting them in.
So
They're trying to keep the kid from going to sleep, right?
not yet,
Well, no,
because
the
she
mom
hasn't really
wants him
said it
to
that.
not go
She
to
just
sleep.
goes to visit Craven,
Once she...
and Craven's like, "Hey, I got to finish this. You know, it comes down to whether or not you want to play Nancy one more time." And then the script says, "Fade to black." And guess what happens? It fades to black. So it doesn't even like describe her leaving Wes or what happened. It
Or
just
how she gets
fucking
back
fades
to
the fuck
hospital.
Yeah. Which is not how real life works.
And then when
Or
she
we
gets...
would have that happen now.
Yeah.
she gets back to her
Fade to
house and
Well, no, she goes back to the hospital
Fade to
and the babysitter's there, and they won't let the babysitter see the kid.
No. She goes back home because then she has like another, like a nightmare.
Yeah. She
And
does.
she
She goes home
goes-
and goes to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Even though she has all these worries.
Yeah, even though she doesn't
He'll
want to
be
go to sleep,
fine.
she goes home and goes to sleep. Has another nightmare, and she's like, "Oh, fuck Dylan," and she goes to the hospital. Where now all of a sudden the babysitter's like, "Oh, I had a fucking
I
nightmare about
demand to
Dylan,"
see this kid. Yeah.
and she's in there demanding to see Dylan for no fucking particular reason. No connection to anything. She wasn't even in the hospital when he checked in, so
Isn't it somewhere in here that there's the newscast that finally reveals that they discovered those two bodies of
yes.
Yes.
They say the two bodies of the guys were
the
found
mysterious
in the field.
deaths.
Yes, but they say it looked
Out in
like
the
it was a
field.
botched
Speaking
robbery.
of, all right, so speaking of meta-ness in this film, can you imagine the cocaine-fueled orgies that would have taken place in the New Line Cinema offices if there had been two mysterious deaths linked to the production of this movie?
No shit.
There is no better promotion.
Yep.
So I think the news anchor said that it was a botched robbery, that both men had tried to rob the other by stabbing
Each other multiple
repeatedly.
times. They
Until
were
there was
found
no-
with 50 stab wounds, clearly, in an effort to steal their wallets.
One
From
blamed
each other.
the fart on the other.
I think that I've always been fascinated with like the botched robbery. Oh, the guy got killed in a botched robbery. So like the guy didn't rob him.
Yeah,
after
like,
that?
is that botched, or is that a
I
win
feel-
of a robbery? Because you
feel
get
like-
away with the stuff.
I feel like that's a robbery plus.
Yeah. So, she's in there talking to the babysitter, and they want to see their kid, and she's like, look, Miss Langenkamp, please chill the fuck out. Your kid's in an oxygen tent. Why the fuck is he in an oxygen tent? I don't know. But I want him to stay there.
We had an extra oxygen.
We had an
tank.
extra oxygen. We only had one bed in the whole entire hospital for children. We don't understand how to deal
And there
with
are
children in this
And there
hospital.
are no visiting hours. You're not allowed to see your
Yeah.
kid.
Not because they don't know what to do with kids. They're like, fuck, there's a kid here. Can we let the mother see him? I don't know the protocol.
Well,
So
I
is
mean,
this
look
where
at it. I
Go
mean, it's no wonder that Springwood doesn't let kids into their fucking hospital. I mean, the doctors in this movie are tricking the kids into getting injections of sedatives
Yeah.
without parents' consent. the Wild West here when it comes to medical care for children.
Yeah.
If y'all will notice, in the hospital room itself, there are no TVs 8 feet off the ground.
Right.
Lesson learned. But so I guess they're trying to say that that she's abusing the kid.
Yes, it starts to be that she's literally now
Keeping
kind of
him
having a
from
breakdown
sleeping.
and having the babysitters kind of breaking down a little bit too. But she sits down but with the oxygen tent, passes out, has another fucking nightmare that the kid opens the oxygen tent and for some reason his heart rate drops. Oh, I needed that oxygen for my fucking schizophrenia.
And also, for some reason, while she's asleep, they just take her kid and move him to a different room so she can sleep.
Well, he throws up on her first. It looked like tar or something. And then they run in there and fucking... That's when the nurse, you get that classic scene again, another representation of another movie, where the nurse lady's like, get her, hold her down, grab him, get him, do we have any sedatives? And they're like, we don't have sedatives in this hospital. And she's like, all right, fuck it, we're going to cut him open. And now she's got the Freddy glove.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's Freddy. And she said when she had that glove on, that she felt like evil presence.
Yes.
Like, even though it wasn't the Freddy glove, it was just a representation of it.
She said every time she put it on, it was like it was taking over her.
Yeah, but how could you be creeped out like that when you looked at this Freddy?
Yeah, I know, right?
I get that they tried to give him an edgy 90s makeover with the fucking trench coat and the fucking Hot Topic
Fuck you
glove,
say, this is Keystone Freddy right here.
Well, something I forgot to mention, when she first brought him to the hospital, you and I both recognized the nurse that deals with him then as Lynn Shay.
Lynn Shay, because this is
you
Lynn Shay's
realize
little pop-in.
that that's also Bob Shay's actual sister? I did not know that.
Ah, I did not know that.
Wow, it's neat. I think what's neat is that they don't use Hypnosil because that's from the movies.
Yeah.
They use a real life drug in this one, Lucinus, which is different.
Lucinus. That's right, a Lucinus. So you want to go to that sponsor, and then we'll come back and finish up the.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go to the Lucinus.
All right,
sponsor.
we're gonna go to a sponsor. We'll be right back with the last 5 hours of Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
One of the side effects.
Have you ever found yourself in a particular place under a particular stressing level and you just can't seem to poop?
I have actually, yeah.
It's not a question. This is a pitch.
I'm sorry.
Well, now we've got the product for you. A Lucinus. No. A noose. A noose.
A Lucinus.
Okay, somebody pick it up. Pick it up.
Yeah, no, Lucinus is the new medication for constipation.
No, it's diarrhea medication.
Oh, no,
It's goddamn constipation.
Guys, try out a noose. Now available from ROTN pharmacies.
Hey, pharmacy, not trusted.
This is definitely right.
At least 5 out of 6 Grims say this about a Lucinus.
I don't say anything about it. Why would I fucking take
Read
that?
the script.
Fuck. Yeah, I'm gonna take it tonight.
A
Loosen up my butthole. I don't know.
A Lucinus.
It's mostly just ground up bugs.
It's mostly bugs.
Oh my God, are you still here?
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, you're still listening. We have run out of even sponsors at this point.
This podcast feels exactly like this fucking movie.
Yeah. We're at the halfway point now.
Instead of headphones, can I get earplugs to record this?
Yeah, right.
No.
So, when we left off,
We were
Aaron...
talking about the piece of shit fucking nurses that must have been from the South because they just checked his fucking mouth and it's like, oh, the kid's mentally unstable.
Oh, he's unstable because he's got teeth.
Right?
Never seen these people before.
Any protocol, no paperwork, didn't file anything with the system, and they're just like, oh, no parental consent, that's fine.
Yeah, I gotta say, I hate this hospital worse than I hate the hospital that they wouldn't let kids in.
I hate this hospital worse than I hate Matt. I can't fucking believe it.
I can't believe it.
So another one of the nurses in this actually is Wes Craven's real daughter, Jessica Craven.
Oh, interesting.
to someone.
Yeah, I'm sure that's interesting to somebody.
No, that's
Is
really
it the
cool.
one that gets like elbowed in the chest?
I don't know which one it was.
Honey, I'm going to need you to play this role. Beat the shit out of her, Heather. She will learn her lesson. So she's like, she leaves the hospital again.
Well, they're like trying to.
She
push
tells
her
no.
out,
She
or
tells the kid,
she
"Don't
tries
fall
to leave
asleep.
the
I'm gonna
hospital.
go get Rex for you."
Yeah.
She tries to leave the hospital, and the cops are like, "Well, hold on 1 second. You kind of seem really suspicious. I mean, first off, you didn't sign for your dead husband, and we still buried him. And now you haven't given your consent to the nurses, even though they went ahead and applied medical advice to the child. We're going to have you come in here and talk to this lady." So she goes in there, and she's like... There's such a flip in her character because to begin with, she was like, it's not the guy in my movies. So if you take it from just the doctor's point of view, the doctor just talked to her and she was like, what? He doesn't even watch my movies. And then she turns into, he's going to get him, the guy with the claws. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, she's like, wait a minute, you just fucking got through saying that it couldn't fucking be that. So I can see how the doctor might think she's crazy. But again, she would have not been handled this way at a hospital. That's not how any of this works. Even if they're suspicious of the mom, like, being this or that, because they start thinking that she's trying to keep the kid awake. And I'm go ahead and spoil this one for you. She immediately decides to start trying to keep the kid awake.
Even though they'd already been giving him sleeping pills before this.
Yes. So, while she's in there with the police, that's when... Julie is with the kid, and she's like,
even though
stay
the
away.
mom wasn't allowed to come see the kid before, now it's totally fine for the babysitter chick to come sit with the kid.
And now the nurses that have no earthly idea that there would be any reason that they couldn't give a sedative come in there with a game plan to give the kid a sedative. Like, they're like, hey, this chick, she looks like she might be unruly. She's got blonde hair. Let's take 2 needles in instead.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. Unless the kid's about to go through surgery, if you just want him to get some sleep, why not just give him a Benadryl or something?
Man, when I was a kid, my mom used to hit me with a hammer. It was like, he's out. Who cares?
Does that work?
Just add a little whiskey
not
to
at
his
all.
tea.
A lot of
Wes,
bleeding.
at some point during that, didn't she call Wes or something? And he's like, you're the gatekeeper and you're the what who gives Nancy her power or something like that.
Yeah, and that Nancy was the
Fucking
thing
made no
that...
sense to me.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense because Craven was like, he's got this one thing to
Nancy
go
your
through to
strength,
be
is
able
what
to
he
get, like, out. And then he's like, you should go to him so he can, like, do that. That'd be cool. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It wasn't cool, though.
Not cool.
No.
So the kid starts to fall asleep. Well, okay, the nurses come in and they're gonna fucking, dope this kid out of his mind. And fucking Julie's like, I don't think you shouldn't do that. And the one girl's over there getting a needle and pulling something out of a bottle. And then the mother said no, and she slaps her. And then she says no, and she's like, do it. And the other nurse had the needle behind her back the whole time and was like, look, I got him, bitch.
We definitely wouldn't be handled.
That's what
that
happens
way.
in a hospital.
That is not how that would go down.
No, not at all. So she knocks one of them, like slaps him out of the room. Then the other girl runs over to her with the needle in hand as if they're going to have like a dagger off. And she's like, I know what's in that needle. You have no idea what's in this one.
Holding it with her hand all twisted like this. And
the nurse in the room is literally scared of what could be in that needle. So what the fuck do they have laying around in a hospital room where people can visit?
With
what
a kid, where a child is.
Loose.
Is that what you're going
to say?
God. Damn it. So
we were just racing for that one.
She like immediately kicks the nurse out of the room and shuts the door so nobody can see. The kid falls asleep, and then there's fucking Flasher Freddy. Like, oh, boogie boogie, open my trench coat, look at my regular human clothes. So then you get, again, that recreation of a scene from an earlier movie where...
Except it looks like shit.
It does. They used fucking green screen. They abandoned the spinning room thing.
But I do still enjoy this scene as
the reason I like this scene is because it's almost like Wes Craven like saying, hey, look,
I did this in the original one. Wouldn't you like to see what it would be like if Freddy was actually
Yeah,
there
but
doing
as
it?
a filmmaker, like if you're gonna do something that's essentially a remake, shouldn't you try to make it look better than the original?
Yeah, true.
I mean, it looked like garbage. I mean, like honestly, Wes Craven should have just took a look at the dailies on this one and then just cut his losses and walked away from the project.
Yeah.
Because this should have been a huge red flag that this was just gonna fucking suck.
And it was, she got dragged up on the wall, stabbed a couple of times.
And
The nurses saw her floating in the
And
air.
her, like, flipping out and just abandoned the child.
Yeah, like,
Yes,
what this
all
is now.
those nurses and the kid fucking escapes. How does this happen?
Yeah. And so the kid
I didn't even see
escapes,
it.
and that's when Nancy,
And how does
excuse
he
me,
get
Heather.
through the entire hospital with nobody stopping
No.
him and
Yeah.
asking
Better
him?
question. How does he get through the entire hospital, out of the parking lot, and down the street where she has to drive? Dude, this
get
kid
to him.
fucking flash ran all the way
in his
to
sleep.
Now, here's another great point. It was Heather's fault that he went to the fucking interstate because she said, yeah, the home's just right over the interstate.
I would like to point out that there's a very subtle undertone here that when we were talking about the speed-based cops, this child may be a cop.
He might, it might be a job he needs to get in the future.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, as we were talking earlier, a kid has just escaped from a hospital where someone was brutally murdered, and it takes the cops, like, they never get there. You can hear their sirens, but apparently they're stuck on the interstate with the big wreck.
A lot of traffic.
So there's so many problems with this freeway scene.
Oh, there are so many problems with this freeway
All right,
scene.
So there's a small child in the freeway. All right. Nobody fucking stops.
Nope.
Like, and I can tell you because I've had the fortune or misfortune, however you want to look at it, of being in a situation where I'm driving down the road and all of a sudden there's a little kid in the fucking road. I'll tell you, you do whatever you can to stop that car and not hit that fucking kid and introduce yourself into the perilous situation to try to get the kid out of the road. But no, nobody fucking stops with the kid in the road. Nobody stops until fucking Heather gets in the road.
Now,
and that's only
but
after
even
she
then-
gets hit.
Look, but there's this funny part where Heather's running after the kid, and the cars, you see them just fume, fume, fume. And then a truck locks its brakes, and she's able to keep pace with the sliding truck, which is
so
literally
running away
going
from it.
super slow, where she could have just kind of stepped out of the way of the truck, and she's like, oh, and he's like, no, and she's like,
another way,
oh,
another
and she's,
way,
no,
another
and
way.
then
Very Monty Python.
yeah, and then she just kind of ducks under it, and it goes over her head or
Doesn't it,
something.
like, go through the kid, too?
No,
Didn't
because
the car
Freddy
go
at this
past?
point has the
dangling
kid
him
from a
up in the air.
giant
It looked
claw.
like it was passing through the kid.
No, it was because
He's,
he
like,
like
floating
lifted
up
it up
and-
and
Yeah, because
down.
Freddy
And
was actually in the clouds in this one.
Yes.
Huge Freddy in the clouds, and it looked stupid.
Yes.
FSD, Freddy in the sky with diamonds. Freddy in the sky with
With
diamonds.
This podcast is 48 hours long. There's no time for a musical.
Too bad. Too goddamn bad. So
But even after she ducks under the truck, this truck has just slammed on its brakes and gone sideways, and cars are still speeding past her and the kid.
and then like a whole bunch of shitty people with shitty Freddy masks show up, and you can tell they wanted to keep the
It
scene.
was like a zombie
But they
horde.
cut it like real short as they possibly could. Just when you see the shitty Freddy heads pop up over the
happened
gate, they're
so
like,
quick.
cut. That looks like shit. So then he makes his way back to the house. She goes running after him. Now, this is after she got hit by a car. And I'd just like to point out that Nancy literally gets the shit kicked out of her all through this fucking movie.
I
Heather
want to let
does.
this kid up.
Heather, excuse me.
Heather.
Heather does.
Well, now she's about to be Nancy.
Yes. So she runs into the house, and boom, there's John again, the guy that played her father from the
And she
original
called
one,
him.
because she had called him.
And now
She was
he
leaving the
is her
hospital.
dad.
And he's
Or he
like,
thinks
Nancy,
he
what are
is.
you talking
Yeah.
about? It can't be Freddy.
Why are you calling me John?
She's like, why are you calling me Nancy? And then he's like, why are you calling me John? And then the other guy's like, how did you get peanut butter in my chocolate? And the other guy's like, how did you get chocolate in my peanut butter? Ugh.
No.
And it's like,
Then
don't
they
start losing
made
it
out.
like your
They made
mother.
out.
Yeah.
Don't start losing it like your mother.
And-
Dude, I love
and then
you,
he's like,
sweetheart.
Nancy, I gotta go check out Johnny Depp over here. He lives across the street from you.
He's like, I love you too, Daddy.
Yeah, and then she just breaks, and she's like, all right, cool, fuck it, I'm Nancy.
Yeah, and this is what I mentioned earlier. At an hour and a half into this movie, which, by the way, it feels like you're fucking 9 hours into it.
Yeah, as long as this we're making this podcast as long as this movie felt.
It decides it's going to be a requel of part 3 at this point.
The whole time they're having their little back and forth, Freddy's trying to rip out of a bed, and it's taking him forever to get out of this fucking bed.
Right.
It's so fucking funny.
So she goes to the house and she follows the breadcrumb trail to the bedroom.
And you know what happens here, Matt? You know what it shows here?
What?
The door is blue in this
Oh
one.
yeah, that's Brandy pointed that out and was like, Frankie's gonna say it, so I'm gonna say it now. It's fucking bullshit.
So you guys are saying the door is sad? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The door is sad.
Not to mention the fact that
That's a sad-ass door. and a
when
sad-ass
she was
movie.
talking to Bob Shea about the subsequent sequels, he said there was only 5 different movies. So I still wonder what the one movie he omitted from that was. Yeah, you think it's 2?
Well, that is what we
I
originally
agree with
said.
that.
But then I was wondering if maybe it was 3 since she dies in that one.
Yeah, she
but I
dies
don't
in
know.
that one, so how are they going to make a movie with him?
But
But I guess
the
they
other
were making the
ones-
movie, so...
The logos in different places still say 7.
Yeah, and they say that the next one they're doing is 7, even though Bob Shea said there was only 5 sequels.
Clearly, he has no idea. He's been in this movie way too long, and like us, has become delirious.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier how the breadcrumbs Dylan was referring to were sleeping pills.
Yeah, and then she just starts fucking
She's like,
popping them like...
breadcrumbs, yummy.
That's the first of the morals of this film, is that drugs will take you back home, kids.
Yeah, and you always complained about drug taking in the other episodes or the other series.
Still no cocaine in this
Yeah,
film.
but in this one, and this is in Hollywood, so they really missed that one. But she literally picks up these fucking sleeping pills, and then she has the epiphany of you sent me away to get to you, and then she just chunks all there was 5 of them, and then she finds another one, and she takes another one and takes another one. You're fucking dead. You can OD
that would
on
have been
sleeping
funny
pills.
if that was the end of this movie.
You
just,
stupid
falls over.
fuck.
I heard that there was supposed to be cocaine in this movie, and it didn't actually make it to
the set.
That's showbiz, baby.
That's showbiz. Ha-cha-cha-cha-cha. So she decides to descend into the tunnel, which again, we just were like, wow, she's going into Alice's uterus. That's weird.
And then out of Freddy's mouth.
And then pops out of Freddy's mouth and falls into the...
One-Eyed Willie's lair in Goonies.
Yes.
It looked like a stupid-ass Roman bathhouse.
With English written on the walls. Instead of Roman, which it seemed like it was in... But that was garbage.
Hey, you think there's any connection there with One-Eyed Willie's lair and the stunt cock earlier?
Gotta be. And then the Goonies have to battle the really bad octopus. She falls in the water and there's a shitty ass octopus that she has to twist around with.
It's got Freddy's face
on
the mask.
So
and the trench coat. Except the trench coat's got 8 arms on it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
So she goes running after the kid. And sort of, sees Dylan running away from Freddy, and he's all like, come here. He grabs her, and he's throwing her around, and she gets to punch him and be like, fuck you. And she's never been that kind of a character at any point. I mean, she did the Home Alone thing, but she never really got in his face like a badass. And so he goes chasing the fucking kid, and he's trying to get a hold of the kid, and she's knocked out.
Did you notice how when he's chasing the kid, he's holding his leg like his legs hurt?
Yes.
What the fuck was
She
that?
stabbed him, right? She stabbed him in the eyeball with the eel on the ground, and then she stabbed something into the back of his leg while they were struggling.
A lot quicker, and then it's over.
Yeah, but that's Freddy. Maybe this demon is fuck, I can't get stabbed. This actually fucking hurts. Freddy couldn't be hurt in the dream, but this guy's
but remember one of them, he was all twisted and stretched out and broken and staggering around up and down the Escher stairs.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So he
goes after the kid, and he chases the kid into a
Fire pit
like
type thing.
like a burning. In it's supposed to be layers of hell because they have words written over each one of those pits, like lust, envy, wrath, sloth. It's like the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And he goes into one of the furnaces, and Freddy like runs after him, and he's trying to fucking get a hold of the kid. And I liked that it seemed like they could have reshot it, and he could have come in this way, but they did the shot where he comes in the wrong way, and then he's like, damn it, the kid went that way, and he has to go back out and then turn around. It seemed like a wasted shot in a way.
Yeah.
He's like, come to Papa.
Yeah. And he starts reaching for the kid and trying to grab him, and the kid's like, no. So Heather wakes up and fucking runs over to fucking help him out. This was before? No, the tongue thing happened before this, right?
No, that was after.
Oh, right, it was after this. So she runs over there and
from the quicksand goo.
Oh, I know why he got stabbed in the leg. When he was wrestling with her, the kid stabbed him in the leg
that's
to
right.
get him off of her.
Yeah. Dylan.
So she runs around and she's hollering at Dylan, "Get out of there!" And Freddy makes a fucking bald python, like an albino bald python appeared. Like,
and it's rattling. Why is the fucking
no, right? It's a bald python rattling.
What the fuck is that?
This is a reference from 2, where the snake was in 2.
Where the snake was in 2?
Yeah, the one that blew up.
Yeah. And
well,
flew around the room.
2 was the animal, and you had the dogs, you had the bird, and you had the snake.
Yeah. But so he just kind of pushes it out of the way like it's no biggie. Yeah,
rattling boa.
Get out of here, rattling boa. This is the weirdest shit in the world. And then he runs around and helps her push him into the oven. And again, Hansel and Gretel reference. And then he this is like the ridiculous part, because again, that's how it rides this line. Oh no, he tried to open his mouth and eat the kid's head, and that was fucking dumb as shit. The prop looked dumb. It didn't make any sense. And it's like the whole time they were talking about
like
darker Freddy. And then it's like, what the fuck? This is like the possession of whatever Deborah
The taking
Logan.
of Deborah Logan did this much better.
Much better.
I thought it was more Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It did look like that. And when his teeth hit his head and his tongue's like, because he did that. I love that part. That's funny. So he spits his tongue out, and it grows long, and it wraps around Heather, and it's kind of like reminiscent of like anime tentacle porn, sort of. It's very insinuative of that. And then the kid gets the knife. She hands a knife to the kid because she apparently still see the kid, and the kid tries to stab the tongue, and he's like, "No, ooh, while he's dodging. It's so fucking stupid.
I fucking hate this movie so much.
And then he stabs the tongue, which he stabs it into stone. Like, I'm not exactly sure how the kid mustered up the power to get the fucking knife to go into the stone.
Because he has the power of speed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he has a forked tongue. And people pay good money for having a forked tongue.
Yes, they do.
You should have been, really appreciated.
Hey, this actually makes me look way more like a rattling albino python. So then they're like, apparently they just suddenly know how to work these mythical fire areas, which kind of dumb for Freddy to take her somewhere where she could easily kill him. Yeah. But whatever. And they do that thing that they do in movies. They kill a demon with literal fucking fire.
And the fucking demon's eyes pop out, bug out.
So
stupid.
He
turns into a hobgoblin marshmallow.
Well, again,
it's
very
literally.
cartoonish.
I'd rather
Very
him throwing up his
rabbit,
own head and out of the explosion than what they did with this, transforming him into the demon. Now, do I like the toy I have with the transformed demon head?
Yes.
Sure. Great, that's awesome. Good to remember. But it was never in any of the movies. It was in 1 second of the movie.
It might as well have had that fucking spring sound effect that they have in Looney Tunes.
Or when his eyes bulge out of heads and then So then Freddy burns. Apparently that's a bad thing for him in a dream to burn. I don't know. Doesn't make any fucking sense. He literally chills in a boiler. It's a kind of a dumb place to be at.
It was in the script.
That's fair. Well, Wes said I had to do it. I don't like it, but I could have literally just been in a fucking room full of knives. That would have been easier.
And then it blows up all the beautiful ancient architecture that
Yep.
they built.
And she jumps in the fucking sauna and falls out of the bottom of the bed.
It was a blanket fort the whole time.
Yep.
And
then
they managed to get a handful of the precious jewels out of there, which actually saves the town.
yeah. And then she's sitting there on the floor, and she's like, "Oh fuck, Wes sent me the script while we were doing all that."
And it's
Literally,
just laying on the floor
every
right
last
here
bit of
under
the tone of this
blanket.
movie goes out the fucking window. There is no longer like worry about her husband's death or Freddie or any of that shit. And she's like, "Let's sit here and read a story
About your father's death.
about your father
No,
and
no,
your
no.
babysitter
They-
getting murdered."
They say, let's read the script to this film that we were just in. Again, there's nothing more meta than that.
Yeah.
Like,
But
that-
she's literally about to read to him about the murder of his father. Like, Mom, dude, you told me earlier I couldn't watch these movies, and now it's like,
And now
hey,
you're
I don't
gonna
want you
read
to
it
watch
to
my
me.
movies, but I'd really like to recap your father's death.
And then your dad put his hand on his totally sweet cock. And
Ooh, I might want to leave that part out. Anyways, he was mauled to death by a glove from under his truck. So, yeah, and then the credits roll, which are
Yeah.
probably my favorite part of this
Never
movie.
yeah, the credits roll to a remix of the Seinfeld theme.
So that's been a new nightmare.
That's been a
And,
long fucking
Oh,
podcast.
and by the way, apparently the other message of this movie is your kids should totally watch the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
See,
of
I
course
thought
it's
the
it.
message
Because-
was just Dylan, because his name was spoken 103 times in
Yeah.
this movie.
If your kids don't watch the Nightmare franchise, then he's gonna come back.
I'd like to see how many times he says Gage in Pet Cemetery and see how
Right.
close it is to the amount
Hey,
of times they say
another
Dylan.
parallel, like, okay, so in this movie, like, one of the times that Heather fucks up is because she went to sleep, right? Well, I rewatched Pet Cemetery last night, as a matter of fact. You know, toward the end of that movie, after he buries Gage, he's just like, I guess I'm gonna crash out now. And then fucking, what's his face, Judd, like, he's like, all right, I gotta go out here, you know, I know what he's doing, I gotta make sure I take care of this. He fucking goes to sleep.
Well, I
Like,
gotta
the
get
whole
me a
fucking
little bit of sleep
That's
tonight.
why everything fell to shit, was because both of the guys that could have stopped it just decided to take a nappy nap.
Am I wrong about the fact that in Pet Cemetery it's a red truck hauling a diesel?
No, it's a blue one.
It's a blue truck.
Oh,
You motherfucker, you
the truck was
motherfucker.
blue.
Did you guys catch that at about an hour and 14 minutes into the movie, Heather is asked about her hall pass, and she says, "Screw your pass." That was
Yeah.
taken directly out of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nice. So
Screw your pass.
One thing-
That's
one
how
thing
she
we,
says it. Screw your pass.
one thing we haven't done so far is I haven't heard Frankie award points.
No points in this motherfucking
points at
movie.
all?
None whatsoever. Nobody did anything. Nope, I give God status to fucking the husband for grabbing his dick.
For being the only one clever enough to have a stunt cock in this movie.
Yeah. There you go, God status. Plus 17,365 points.
So
And
guys,
he was the one able to check out of this movie the fastest, so there's points
Yeah,
there.
God, I'm so jealous.
now that we have gone through the whole movie, we had given our initial kind of thoughts on the film before we did all the breakdown. Has anybody's thoughts changed on this film?
They've gotten worse.
They have.
Yeah,
gotten
yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
Now I've
Again.
gotten feedback from other human beings about how terrible this shit is. Plus, we've had failed attempts to record this fucking podcast.
Yeah,
We
so
talk about
I
it
hate it
a lot more than you get to
I
hear.
promise you this will probably be the last time I ever watch New Nightmare.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Never need to see this again.
I don't think I'll ever watch New Nightmare or fucking Part 5 ever again in my entire life, but I probably will watch the other ones.
If this podcast has compelled you to go and watch A New Nightmare, we have failed.
What is wrong with you?
We
Yeah.
tried to give you an extensive breakdown of it so you don't have to do that.
Do anything else. Get cancer.
Go and have
Don't
your
do
own
that.
nightmare.
Drink and
Don't do
drive.
that.
Instead, go ahead and watch Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, way
which
better
we will
movie.
be talking about next week.
Criminally,
and see
like,
if you
underrated,
agree with us and let
way
us know
better
if you don't.
version. That I think that
because this movie is the last one, it's the best last one, even though it's cliffhangery and it's schlocky, that I still think that it is way better than it should have been.
Right.
100%. They actually, did some clever writing in this one instead of, fuck it, whatever.
What?
Just use scenes from the other movies. It'll be all right.
What guys? What is that? Is that?
Hey, Frighting Dead Fart, did you hear it?
Is that the end of the podcast?
Yep, that's
Guys,
the end of the podcast.
It's coming. It's almost here, guys.
Oh, God.
It's almost.
God.
Hey guys, stay rotten.
Duck, Matt, duck.
Yeah, stay rotten.
Stay rotten.
Join us next time for another episode of Rotten Mournings.